Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
Welcome to Business Focus, where we discuss what's happening in the world of business. We have Kudzie on the line now. He's currently in Victoria Falls. Good morning to you, Kudzie. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, everyone.
Great. Let's begin with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, how it closed off on Friday last week.
Thank you, Tinashe. So, we continue to see that upward trajectory on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, although it kind of slowed down a bit on Friday, with the all-share index gaining by 1.99%. The top 10 index, however, doing a little bit better with a 2.15% gain. And then you look at your Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. I think it's one of the biggest moves that we have seen on the VFX, where it was up by 1.89%, taking its year-to-date gain to 5.38%. So that's a bit of some good news for VFX investors there. But I'm sure they would want the gains to be much higher than that. And then on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, just looking at the top risers, Dairybot continues on its winning streak, up again by 15% on Friday. Remember the day that I said I missed that one. Since that day, it has been going up by 15% almost every day. So it's been on a very good run there. Year to date, it's now up by 121%. Well, not yet to date as such, but since the introduction of Zik, Dairybot is up by 121.6%. Ariston also starting to move. It was stagnant all along, but it's starting to move again, up by 14.26% to take its year-to-date gain to 49.7%. I think there's still some headroom there. OK, Zimbabwe also starting to move, up by 14.16%. Hippo also amongst the risers, up by 14.09%, and then RTG putting on 10%. And then on the downside, First Mutual Property was the biggest loser with a 14.85%. The rest of the companies that recorded losses, that's EcoCash, EcoNet, Delta, and National and Holdings, their losses were less than 1%. So only First Mutual Property with a solid drop there of 14.85%. And then most investors were putting their money into EcoNet, which got about 2.6 million ZiG. Delta got about 2.5 million ZiG. And then you had Afdis, Dairybot, and CBZ also getting a sizable chunk of the funds that were invested. And one question that people have been asking is to say, what is causing this rally, especially in the last maybe month or so, maybe 3 weeks, that we have seen the stock market really rallying? I understand there were some payments that were made to suppliers, government suppliers. Government paid roughly 300 million ZiG into their suppliers. And because especially contractors, they are concentrated, there are just a few contractors that we are seeing that are doing the work. And when they are paid, the money is so concentrated. And with the financial intelligence unit out in full force, making sure that there are no foreign currency deals on the black market, most of these investors are then looking for another home, and the ZSC has been the biggest beneficiary of that money. And although we had some rest on the power market, but in terms of activity, there isn't much happening there because the FIU is out in full force. So that's the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange is benefiting from that. But I think once this money is finished, this $300 million that came into the market or that came into the economy is finished. Once it finds a home, I expect the ZSC to start retreating backwards again. Maybe not to the previous levels, but it will slow down definitely in terms of the movement. So that's what I can say about the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I expect it to continue on that upward trajectory, but maybe the gains might not be as high as before. What we might start to see is what we call a switch in portfolios, where somebody says, okay, for example, ZB has gone up by 311%. Maybe I can cash out, take some profits, but instead of taking that money, I might then look for other companies that might not yet have moved, but they have got good fundamentals. That's why you see, as of Friday, the big caps that were moving, that's your Econet, your Delta, they came off on Friday. And then the ones that were not moving, the middle caps, your Dairy Board, your OKs, your Aristons, they are the ones that are moving. So you can actually see that it's probably investors who are switching their portfolios, or it's investors who are saying, no, I think ZB is now overvalued. Let me look for other stocks. And they look for those that have not moved much.
Okay, Kudzie, let's also look at what is happening in Victoria Falls, and there are some events that also happened over the last week, and some of the highlights that came out of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe winter school.
Thank you, Tinashe. So, the winter school was running since Thursday last week, and it ended on Saturday. It was an interesting one because their theme was to do with reimagining how they do their things. So there were speakers that were there, and but for me, it's the Saturday one where I was also a one of the panelists. I shared the panel with the Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, as well as the Deputy Minister of Finance. And I think what came out from that, especially from the Deputy Minister of Finance, he was promising that this week, remember I had said that the budget was supposed to happen last week Thursday, but the dates were changed, so it's happening this Thursday. But when asked what was to come into the budget, without preempting much, the Deputy Minister said that do not expect any tax hikes. So this is where they increase, let's say, VAT from the current 15 maybe to 16. So he said do not expect those kind of measures where they are increasing taxes. However, you can expect other tax measures that can come into force, probably areas where that were not being taxed before, being caught in the tax net. So, but in terms of increasing the current taxes, he said that that's not part of the budget. But like I said, I'm also anticipating or expecting the minister to unpack how government is funding its projects with regards to the SADC summit, how it's funding the drought and how much is needed, and whether they are doing reallocation of resources from other areas so that they can fund for drought relief and others. So that's and the minister has already said that he's not going to have a supplementary budget, but maybe might surprise us with one. But so and then he's also expected to present a 2025 budget strategy paper. This is a strategy paper to prepare for the 2025 national budget. So hopefully the people can participate so that when they finally come up with the 2025 budget, it will have as much input from both the public and private sector. So that's and then the other issue that also came up that was addressed by the Deputy Minister of Finance is that of bank charges. Because apparently banks are charges are too high, and he said that banks have to sort themselves out with the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. They need to talk about bank charges and act on that. And he said that the clock is ticking to say that if the sector itself does not look into that issue of excessive bank charges, then government might be forced to intervene. And in his words, he said the clock is ticking. So that's something I think a lot of people have been complaining about, bank charges. Just yesterday, somebody posted on Twitter and complaining about he swiped to buy a pie. I think the pie was about $2, and the cost of swiping that pie was another $2, and this is from one of the local banks. So people think if these are the charges that banks make, so you might as well not bank your money, especially if you are one who is doing business mostly on a cash basis, like our tax shops of this world. Why should I then take that money and bank it when then the bank, when I want to use that money, I'm charged a leg and an arm? I think it's something that bankers need to address, Of course, they've tried to justify why they've got so many charges, but I think the bottom line is that we need more Zimbabweans to bank their money. We need more financial inclusion, and that financial inclusion will not happen if the charges are too high. It doesn't matter whether your systems are expensive. What it just means is that if the systems are expensive, there is need for disruption so that we can have cheaper services, financial services. We are already seeing it with some mobile money transfer agencies where they charge you just $1 for the whole month. So these are the kind of disruptions that will come to the banking sector if they do not address this issue where just to withdraw your cash, you are charged 3% by some banks. Some are even at 3.5%. Just to check your balance, you are charged money. Yes, I understand that they are trying to discourage people with negative balances to continue checking their balances when they really know that the money has not landed. But it's very simple to. I think people need to also consider not to clog the system, just to register so that you receive a notification if money has come into your account instead of checking your balances every now and again. But that's what is there, and so I think it's another issue that that came out from that ICA's Winter School Conference.
All right, Kudzie, just let me take you back a little bit. We've got a message coming in from Eunice who says, if counters are performing and investors are enjoying the profits in ZIG, does it also not put more demand on the need for the US since there will be more ZIG to spend?
Yeah, obviously, when, for example, if I've made my money on the ZX, and I think the counter that I was invested in has given me very good returns, and I want to cash out. And then maybe there are no other counters that I think have got opportunity or headroom. I might want to take my money elsewhere. And some might say I want to buy foreign currency, or for whatever reason. If they want to import, then yes, they can go to the banks. Although there have been challenges with banks in terms of accessing foreign currency enough to meet your requirements. But you can't go like in the past. In the past, people then take that money and go to the parallel market. But now you have to be very brave to go to the parallel market because the financial intelligence unit is out in full force. So you can't take as much money to that market. But yes, to answer the question simply is to say yes, there will be pressure on the exchange rate when money starts moving away from the ZFE again, looking for another home.
All right, Kudzie, just about 3 minutes before we're done with Business Focus for today, but we understand that there is the ZimSwitch conference that is starting today. What are some of the expectations that we are likely to get from a ZimSwitch payments conference that is currently going on, considering that you've been talking about bank charges, taxes, and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's very important because one of the areas that they're going to look at is that of e-commerce. In other markets, you buy things online, and this is one area that they are also looking at to say how do we streamline the platform so that more and more people can actually buy things online, delivery, and that kind of stuff. But again, yes, it will come back to I think it will be important that they talk about the issue of charges, because if their charges are like that, we spoke about one bank during the ICA's Winter School. We spoke about one bank which has got 312 touch points where they charge you. So they've got all sorts of services that they're more than 300 that where they charge you something for transactions. So if it's going to be like that, yes, it's a service that you're providing, but you must have some services that you say, no, this is for goodwill with my customer. This is just to make sure that the customer sees that I'm also doing something for them, not to charge for every other bit of the service that you're providing. You must have key services that you charge, and then others that come for free. So it will be interesting to see how, because ZimSwitch is the national payment switch, almost all banks use ZimSwitch, almost all mobile money platforms they use ZimSwitch. It will be interesting to see how they are going to tackle the issue of charges Then there's also, they are going to talk about how to leverage your digital identity, how to unleash the power of artificial intelligence to combat fraud in the digital era, future-proofing of your business, that's another one there. And then seamless payments, streamlining value exchange across different flows. Yeah, it's a bit technical, most of the stuff, but at the end of the day, we just want efficient, effective, and cheaper financial services.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for Business Focus. We get to hear more from you in terms of the Zim Switch Payments Conference that is starting today in Victoria Falls. Have yourself a great time, and we'll hear from you tomorrow.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League.